सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। आचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से करो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय। यमुना मई की जय। भक्त देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। समर्पित भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर गोविंद हरि। All glory to somebody would say.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to somebody would say.
Hare Krishna.
Guru Sri Gauranga Guru Sri Prabhupada की जय।
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। शीला प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for joining this Saturday program. Today we'll have Srimad Bhagavatam, discourse from His Grace Shyam Kumar Prabhu. Shyam Kumar Prabhu, okay, getting ready. So, how do you feel this chanting is helping? Is it helping? Chanting with Srila Prabhupada? Are we trying to hear what we chant? That's how we can keep our mind focused. Otherwise, it's all here and there. So, we would like to welcome back our good old devotee, Achyuta Priya Mataji. So, welcome back 3 times Haribol to her. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. After a long time. Thank you, Mataji, for coming. So, you all know Shyam Prabhu, but still, I would like to take this time to introduce him. Shyam Kumar Prabhu is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. He's been practicing Krishna consciousness for almost more than 2 decades. He's been a role model for our Bensalem Bhakti Vriksha. He also is a very active participant in ISKCON Philadelphia's congregation. He's been serving temple for more than 2 decades. He was having different roles like board of directors, vice president, and he gave many discourses at temple also. Today we'll hear from him. Srimad Bhagavatam, verse, anyone? First canto?
No. Chapter,
First canto, 3rd chapter?
chapter 34 text.
34, wonderful. Thank you. So we are all on the same page. Haribol.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanaha Tam Namami Harim Param Nama Sankirtanam sankirtanam yasya
Nama Sankirtanam Yasya
sarva papa pranashanam
Sarva Papa Pranashanam
pranamo dukkha shamanaha
Namo Dukkha Shamanaha
tam namami harim param
Tam Namami Harim Param
nama sankirtanam yasya
Nama Sankirtanam Yasya
sarva papa pranashanam
Sarva Papa Pranashanam
pranamo dukkha shamanaha
Namo Dukkha Shamanaha
tam namami harim param
Tam Namami Harim Param.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, third chapter, text number 34. I've sent the text link to the Bensalem Bhakti Vriksha group. You can open it. Please repeat. Yadi Parata Devi
Yedi Yoshu Parata Devi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Sampannaye Veti Vidhur
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Yadeshu Parata Devi
Yedi Yeshu Parata Devi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Sampannaye Veti Vidhur
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Yadeshu Parata Devi
Yedi Yeshu Parata Devi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Maya Vaisharadhimatihi
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate Yadi Yeshu Parata Devi
Yadeshu Parata Devi
Maya Vaisharadhimatihi
Maya Vaisharadimatihi
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Sampannaye Veti Vidur
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Mahimni Sve Mahiyate
Yadi Yeshu Parata Devi Maya Vaisharadhimatihi Sampannaye Veti Vidur Mahimni Sve Mahiyate.
Translation. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Because the Lord is the absolute transcendence, all of his forms, names, pastimes, attributes, associates, and energies are identical with him. His transcendental energy acts according to his omnipotency. The same energy acts as his external, internal, and marginal energies, and by his omnipotency, he can perform anything and everything through the agency of any of the above energies. He can turn the external energy into internal by his will. Therefore, by his grace, the external energy, which is employed in illusioning those living beings who want to have it, subsides by the will of the Lord in terms of repentance and penance for the conditioned soul. And the very same energy then acts to help the purified living being make progress on the path of self-realization. The example of electrical energy is very appropriate in this connection. The expert electrician can utilize the electrical energy for both heating and cooling by adjustment only. Similarly, the external energy, which now bewilders the living being into continuation of birth and death, is turned into internal potency by the will of the Lord to lead the living being to eternal life. When a living being is thus graced by the Lord, he is placed in a proper constitutional position to enjoy eternal spiritual life. So this last line, we'll focus on that. So I'll repeat this last line. When a living being is thus graced by the Lord, he is placed in his proper constitutional position to enjoy eternal spiritual life. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurandritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhutavakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shagate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanam Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyadi Pashatya Deshtarani Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Shagate Radhanath Swami Nityanam. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So we are in the third chapter, first canto. Just to recap, Srila Sutta Goswami is talking about Srimad Bhagavatam. Sutta Goswami has heard Bhagavatam from Sutta Goswami, who was reciting it to Sukadeva Goswami, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So in the first chapter, we saw sages asking 6 questions to Sutta Goswami. Second chapter, Sutta Goswami starts answering these questions. And in the third chapter, we see description of 22 avatars of the Supreme Lord, which was response of Sutta Goswami to question number 4 and 5. We've repeated these questions. The first one is, what is the ultimate benefit for human beings? What is that one thing? Purushaha antaha, ekantaha, the ultimate benefit for the human beings. What is it? That's the first question. Second question is, what is the essence of all the scriptures? Third question is, Krishna was born to Vasudeva and Devaki. What is the purpose of his appearance? And fourth question is, Krishna has taken many avatars. Talk to us about those avatars. Fifth question is, talk to us about his activities in those avatars. And sixth question is, now that Krishna has gone back, Dharma, whose shelter has Dharma taken? These are the 6 questions. So in the third chapter, we are discussing question number 4 and 5, and then the 6th question will also be answered. So 4 and 5, what are various incarnations of the Supreme Lord? 22 incarnations have been described and their activities in a brief way. Then we concluded that section, which ended with a Phalashruti, which said, Janma Guhyam Bhagavataha ya etat prayato naraha sayam prata grinan bhaktya dukha gramad vimuchyate. So 22 avatars have been talked about. So the Phalashruti, what we as human beings can benefit, how we can benefit from this description of 22 avatars. It says, Janma Guhyam Bhagavataha, of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavataha Janma Guhyam, the mystery of appearance, Janma Guhyam. So, ya etat prayato naraha, naraha, human beings, prayataha, with endeavor, one who, sayam prata grinan bhaktya, sayam is evening, prata is morning, Grinan recites bhaktya means continuously, not just evening and morning, but from evening to morning. Grinan bhaktya dukha gramad vimuchyate. So that is the benefit. Why we have to learn about all the different avatars of the Supreme Lord? We want to get out of this dukkha grama. This material world is dukkha grama. It's full of miseries. Vimuchyate. How do we release ourselves? So that is the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. That is actually a byproduct of what happens when we invest our energies into Srimad Bhagavatam. Dukkha grama vimuchyate. Why? Srimad Bhagavatam mainly deals with the Supreme Lord and His activities. So whoever invests energy in understanding the secrets, mystery, Janma Guhyam Bhagavata, then Dukkha Grama Vimuchyate. That comes by itself, naturally. We don't have to endeavor to get ourselves released. Our endeavor should be Bhaktya, to surrender to the Supreme Lord, to understand the Supreme Lord, to connect with the Supreme Lord. That is the purpose of human form of life, right? We've seen this as what is the main dharma of the human being. What is that verse? In the first second chapter? Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma. What is our dharma? Paradharma of Pumsam. What is the highest dharma or activities that we have to engage ourselves in? Yato bhakti radhokshache. We have to perform bhakti. So that is our own business, only business. That is why we have our human form of life, right? Everything else just follows as byproducts. So the Phalashruti talks about how we can release ourselves by contemplating on these incarnations of Supreme Lord. Now, the explanation we have seen in the last 5 verses, how that can be accomplished, how we can perform bhakti, devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So, Supreme Lord in the next verse is explained, He is Arupasya Chidatmanaha. He has no material form, Rupa. We cannot see Supreme Lord from our own material eyes. Why? Chidatmanaha is Atma, his form, his body is Chit, made out of completely bliss matter, right? It's not matter, it's blissful energy, Chidatmanaha. So if that is the case, how do we understand the Supreme Lord? So it says, then start with what is called as Maya Gunair Virachitam Mahadadibihi Atmani. So this material universe, which is created from Maya, from the energy, external energy of the Supreme Lord, which includes the 5 material elements, Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu, Pra. So that Maya, which is in the form of Virat Rupa, where Supreme Lord is considered as having different objects of what we can see, like some of the examples that we can understand, mountains as his bones, right? The clouds as his hair on the head, rivers that we can see, these are considered Supreme Lord's veins, right? So whenever we see these things, then we connect to the Supreme Lord. So the whole idea is, with our senses, we want to always connect to the Supreme Lord. So when we are trying to relate what we see to Supreme Lord, we get into that habit. So that is where Smaranam is very important. So the Virat Rupa of the Lord, which is what we can see, the material energy, we actually connect with that, and then whenever we connect that to the Supreme Lord, we actually then get into the habit of remembering the Supreme Lord. We gave the example of how our iron rod, when it is in constant touch with fire, it acquires those qualities. So when we, through our senses, constantly think about the Supreme Lord, connect ourselves with everything that we see, everything that we experience with the Supreme Lord, the idea is our senses are getting spiritualized. When our senses are getting purified and spiritualized, then we are at the next level of understanding further, right? So Supreme Lord is very difficult to understand with his actual Swarupa, Satchitananda form, right? So there were 2 analogies that were given to actually establish this point, that Supreme Lord is Arupasya and Chidatmanaha, that he cannot be seen, but we have to see him. and he cannot be seen because of his being spirit, his not being material, right? Then how do we see that? There were two examples that were given, if you remember, going back. It says, Yatha Nabhasi Mega Ogaha. Just like Nabha, sky, we cannot see, right? But then Megha, cloud, Oga, a group of clouds, when they are high in the sky, then we say the sky is cloudy. We cannot see the sky. Supreme Lord is sky, we cannot see. But we can see clouds. Then we say, oh, sky is cloudy. We are relating to what we cannot see through what we can see. The second example was given was Parthiva Renu, the dust particles of earth. Parthiva Renu Anile. In air we cannot see. Just like Supreme Lord cannot be seen or perceived by our senses. But can we see the dust particles? Yes. When dust particles are in the air, we say the air is dusty, even though we cannot see the air, right? So that is how we build up that connection slowly, right? Now, the next question is, now who has to build up this connection? We know we are human beings, right? Then it comes to, am I this body? Is this body the one that is building up this connection with Krishna, the forgotten connection with Krishna? Or I'm something else, right? So that was answered in the next verse. It says, Atah Param, the material energy that we are talking about, with Virat Rupa and everything, Atah Param, superior to that, is what? Yad Avyaktam Avyuda Guna Brahmitam. So this Jiva was defined. You are not this material body. Why? Because you are Avyaktam. You are unmanifest. You cannot be described. You are not something that is material we have experience of, right? Avyaktam. And Avyuda Guna Brahmitam. Your form is not material. And then there are two other attributes of the Jiva. Who am I? I'm Jiva, who is Avyaktam, who has not manifested. Avyuda Guna Brahmitam, who has no material form, right? Then Adrushta Ashruta Vastutvat. The material with which, the substance, Vastu, with which the Jiva is made out of. It is Adrushta. It cannot be seen. Ashruta. It cannot be heard, right? So that is the Jiva, right? Then if that is the Jiva, which cannot be seen, which cannot be heard, which doesn't have a material form, which has not manifested, how do we understand I am this Jiva? Then it says, Yat Punarbhavat. Punarbhavat. It means if you're Jiva, you're seeing when somebody is dead, the body is there, right? So something has left. What is that something that has left? Yat Punarbhavat Sajivaha. So we have that experience that Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, the first thing about the body, right? Natve vaham jatunasam natvam me janadapa nachaiva nabhishama sarve vaham ataparam. He says we are all eternal. Then kamaram yavanam ja. What is the verse? How does it start? Dehi nosmin yatha dehi. Thank you. So Krishna is saying first thing, he's saying just like in a body, dehinaha asmin, in this body, yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara. Now we all have the experience, right? We go back to our pictures when we are 1 year old, 2 year old. Now when we compare that to our pictures today, that body is completely different, this body is completely different. There is no resemblance, right? But then we all know it is the same person, right? The Dehi, the soul is the same, right? But then the bodies have changed. Tata Dehantara Praptihi, Deha Anta, when the body ends, what happens? That something leaves the body, right? So that which leaves the body, that is the soul, right? That is not the body. So we talked about that. Yat punarbhavaha sajivaha. So one which transmigrates, that is the jiva, right? Now the next question is, there is one more part. So if this jiva, yat punarbhavaha, okay, I'm transmigrating, right? But then the body that, as we have already read, it has two parts. One is gross body. There is also a subtle body, right? So when we die, our gross body is left behind. But the subtle body is carried, right? The soul, imagine it just like as, we are Satchidananda soul, right? Just like if you order something from Amazon, say I order a mixie, right? So mixie is the soul, right? But then it comes with its own package, with nice pictures, and then they put all the instructions, everything, right? That is actually the subtle body, right? Now that subtle body is carried by, say, Amazon package, that is a gross body, right? So when we die, the external layer, gross body, is left behind. But then the subtle body carries the soul to different bodies that we take. So from millions of lifetimes that we have taken, millions of births that we have taken, this subtle body has been with us. So this subtle body, that is why it is called subtle. We cannot actually perceive it so easily. That is why it is called subtle. Gross we can perceive, right? In one way it is easy to understand dehinosmin yata dehe, right? But how do one distinguish, I'm not even that subtle body, because subtle body was given to us when we were sent to this material world. That hasn't changed. That has remained with us right from like whatever millions of births that we have taken when we were sent to the material world. The same subtle body, same covering, has been carrying us into different bodies. That is why we have the memory of previous lives, like the past life regression. Like a psychologist can take somebody through past lives, right? If somebody can remember what I was in the last life, who my wife was, who my parents were, where I lived, all this, there are a lot of such verified studies. Where is that information stored, right? That is stored in the subtle body. And as Prabhupada explains, subtle body consists of mind, intelligence, and false ego, right? So these are the coverings. Mind, the outermost covering. Then inside that there is a covering which is intelligence. Then inside that is the false ego. And inside that, so these three are subtle body, form the subtle body. Inside that is the soul, right? So we have understood I'm not that gross body. The next stage is understanding we are not this subtle body. So that was talked about in the last verse. So last verse says, Yatra ime sat asat rupe pratishiddha. Sat asat rupe. Now, sat and asat, it says, asat rupa we know, the gross body, right? Now, the subtle body is also asat, means it's temporary, right? But then, relatively speaking, it's considered as eternal because it was given to us when we entered this material universe. Millions of lifetimes, it has stayed with us. Like, for example, when we say, there is a movie that we went, and if it's too long, then we say, oh, it lasted forever. It seemed like it was forever, right? It's not forever. But in our language, we say, oh, it was there forever, right? Same way here, Sat Asad Rupe Pratishidde, Sat Asad Rupa. So when both this, when we as Jivatmas, Pratishidda, if we negate, if we nullify the thinking that I am this body, that is the gross body, or the next level is I'm not even this subtle body, right? So our current thinking is what? Either I'm this body, or those who are a little advanced, right? They think I'm not this body, I understand this, right? But I am probably my mind, I'm probably my intelligence, right? I'm probably my false ego. That is the next higher level of understanding. Now these both conceptions are created, how and why? It is avidya atmani krite. That is said in the last verse, right? Why we think either I am gross body or I am subtle body. That is because of avidya. So because of our ignorance of the pure knowledge, avidya atmani krite sat asat rupe pratishidde. So when we pratishidde means when we negate completely, when we deny, I'm not even sat, I'm not even asat, I'm not even gross body, I'm not even subtle body. When we constantly deny that, when we constantly nullify that, not only through our words, but within our consciousness, and that is where Srimad Bhagavatham is very helpful, because it helps us actually dig deep in and then open up these different layers, right? So when we nullify this, then what happens? Then it says Swa Samvida. How somebody else cannot do this for us. And this is where Prabhupada always said, you have to fly your own plane, right? You have to be your own pilot. So first step is we have to make an effort. Swa Samvida. It's a very interesting word. It's Swa Samvida. Vid is Veda, right? To know, right? To know that I'm not this body, gross body or subtle body, right? Samyak Vida, completely to know, right? Who has to know? Swa. I have to know myself, right? I have to make an endeavor. Main leader saying, nobody can do this. There are exceptions to all the rules, right? There are stories where a guru, because he is so he's so pleased with the disciple, and if he is capable, he could just place his hand on the head of the disciple and say, you get self-realization, he'll get self-realization. That's possible. There are stories about that in Puranas. That is there. But otherwise, the rule is what? Swa Samvida. We ourselves have to endeavor to understand the Sat Asat Rupa, which is created by what? Atmani Krite, why? Avidyaya. Because of that ignorance, I'm thinking I'm subtle body or I'm grass body, right? Swa Samvida. I have to use my own endeavor. I have to make an endeavor. What is some of the endeavor? Like Prabhupada has set up our classes, right? Chanting is the first one. The transcendental sound that you're chanting, if one gets actually advanced in chanting, they can see these layers, the layers of subtle body very clearly. That when they are acting, they can say, oh, this is my mind acting, so withdraw the mind. Or this is my intelligence acting, withdraw the intelligence. Control that. So that is possible through the transcendental sound vibration. It's possible through study of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So that is the part of Swa Samvida. That is when one wants to endeavor, they can endeavor to actually nullify the feeling that I'm either this gross body or subtle body. So what happens at that time? So I'm not this gross body, I've understood, because yet punarbhavaha, because I'm taking birth after birth, right? So in that case, am I this subtle body? I'm not also in this, not this subtle body. How can I establish this? By chanting. When I'm chanting, when I'm reading Srimad Bhagavatam, I'm able to actually differentiate the mind, intelligence, and false ego. That happens, right? So what happens at that point? So I'm not subtle body, I'm not this gross body. Then it says, Tad Brahma Darshanam. So at that time, when somebody distinguishes himself, is able to see himself separate from the gross and subtle bodies, Tad Brahma Darshanam. At that time, Brahma, Srila Prabhupada translates it as both self and also the Supreme Lord, right? So the Supreme Lord can be seen at that time. Why? Because we have discovered ourselves, Swa Samvida. We've discovered ourselves to be different from the gross or the subtle body. So that was the last verse, right? Now, because I've discovered myself as gross and subtle body, can I see Brahma? Right? That is clarified in this verse. In this verse, it says, you cannot by your own self see Supreme Lord. Right? The whole idea of these verses is what? Janma Guhyam Bhagavataha. Right? To understand the Supreme Lord, to see the Supreme Lord. Because Supreme Lord has no material form. Right? Now, to see the Supreme Lord, now Brahma Darshanam has already happened because I have discovered myself to be different from gross and subtle body, right? Now I'm able to see myself as spirit soul. In relation to that, I'm also able to see the Supreme Lord, right? Now, have I been able to do this on my own self? That is clarified in this verse, right? It says, Yatra ime, in this connection, here it says, Esha, right? These people that have seen Brahma Darshanam, all these people who have seen Brahma Darshanam, why they have been able to see Brahma Darshanam? It says Uparata Devi Maya. Now, why we are not able to see we are spirit soul, because we are actually covered by Maya. So Krishna says in the 7th chapter, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Right? It's very difficult to overcome. Maya Duratyaya. It's difficult to overcome. Because of that Maya covering, we are not able to see that we are spirit soul. But we are able to see I am this body, subtle body, gross body, all the time able to see, because this is material, right? But then when Uparata, when that subsides, the effect of Devi Maya, when Devi Maya effect subsides, Uparata, now how that process happens, it says, Vai Sharadi Mati Sampannaha. So, the Mati, the intelligence was given by the Supreme Lord. Sampannaha means acquired, given. So that Mati given, what is this Mati? Vaisharadi. Like, Vaisharadi means, like you heard, Visharada, Natya Visharada, right? Gana Visharada. Visharada means an expert, right? So Vaisharadi means the process through which one is made expert. Right? So somebody is making somebody expert, right? So that Vaisharadi Mati, so that the intelligence that actually makes you see the Supreme Lord. We've seen the Supreme Lord, right? We've seen ourselves as spirit soul, right? That Vaisharadi Mati Sampannaha, when you get that intelligence, right? Then what happens? This Maya, Devi Maya, what happens? Uparati. The Devi Maya recedes. Now, both these are parallel processes. Just like when the day breaks, right, from night to day, the sun doesn't come up and then like it turns out to be day. Like, it's not like when we turn the switch on, right, when it's too dark, when it's dark, you turn the light. What happens? Like, the light gets on and you see the light, right? But the process of day or night, it is not like a switch. It is a gradual process, right? Similarly, us seeing the Supreme Lord, it is a gradual process. How? The Maya, Devi Maya, Uparati, it has to be receded. It has to be removed, right? That removal happens slowly. How does that removal happen? To the extent your Vaisharadi Mati, the intelligence that is given, that makes you expert. Krishna has to give you that intelligence. That intelligence Sampannaha, as you keep getting that Vaisharadhimati, right? Then the Maya gets receded, right? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Nityabhiyuktana, no, what is that verse? Tesham Satatayuktanam Bhajatam Pritipurvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam. Krishna says, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, right? Now we saw Virat Rupa. We have to connect to Krishna. And then we said, this is how we can remember Krishna, right? Satata Yuktanam. Continuously we are connecting to Krishna, right? Then what happens? Tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. One who worships with utmost love. Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam. Right? I'll give him the intelligence. So that intelligence is what is being talked about here. Vaisharadhimatihi, right? So when Krishna gives that Vaisharadhimati, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, what happens? Yena, by that Buddhi Yoga, Mam Upayanti te, Mam Upayanti, they achieve me, they come to me. Same thing is happening within our heart. Krishna has to remove that covering of the Maya, right? How is Krishna removing that Devi Maya Uparati, right? How is he removing it? By Vaisharadhimatihi. He's giving us Vaisharadhimati, right? That intelligence Krishna is giving. Through that intelligence, he's actually removing those coverings. Then what happens? Te viduhu. So that person, like the Jivatma, when Krishna removes that the Devi Maya covering, right? Through giving Vaisharadhimati, right? Then what happens? Te viduhu, all those people that this happens to, right? They understand Mahimni, Sve, Mahimni. They understand the greatness, Mahima. Mahima means, the greatness, the glory, right? Mahimni, Sve, Mahiyate. Now, their own glories, they come to understand. Now, as spirit souls, we don't know what our glories are, right?
Now, when we understand I'm not a subtle body, gross body, I'm the spirit soul, then I'm established in my constitutional position. So that is the last word, last sentence that Srila Prabhupada said. Let me read that again. When a living being is thus graced by the Lord, because Lord is the one that is removing the Maya covering by giving us Vaisharadi Mati, right? Mati Sampanna, Dadami Buddhiyogamta. When the living being is thus graced by the Lord, he is placed in his proper constitutional position to enjoy eternal spiritual life, right? So only when we realize we are this spirit soul, we are in our constitutional position. Jiva Swarup hai, Krishna Nityadas. That we have to understand. We are part and parcel of Krishna, right? So when we come to that position, then as Srila Prabhupada says, in his proper constitutional position to enjoy eternal spiritual life. So one who has come to that position, he is called Jivan Mukta. So I have understood clearly I'm spirit soul. All my activities now, they are actually driven by the Supreme Lord. Why? Vaisharadi Matihi, Sampannaha. I have acquired this Mati that Krishna has given. So when I'm acting as per his direction, direct direction. So there is nothing that one fears when somebody is at this stage, Jivan Mukta stage, right? So that is why the important thing is if we want to see Krishna, we ourselves with our own endeavor, we cannot see, right? Whereas the endeavor is there. We have to make an endeavor. But the final decision always is Krishna's, right? We have to depend on that mercy. Only when that mercy is endowed on us, right? Through Vaisharadi Mati, then Maya, Devi, Uparata, Devi Maya Uparata, the Devi Maya recedes or is removed. So then what happens? Mahimni Swe, our own glory as spirit souls, Mahiyate, I get established in that, right? So that is the purpose of our spiritual life. And we see some examples, right? We see how Krishna was able to remove this, the Devi Maya, by giving Vaisharadi Mati, right? Like how? We've seen like throughout many examples there are, right? Pandavas, right? Now Pandavas, because they were surrendered to Krishna, Krishna always give them the intelligence to act in a way that never let them turn away from Krishna, right? Many examples. Whether it was Abhimanyu's killing where Arjuna said, oh, I'm going to next day if I don't kill Jayadratha, I'm going to die, right? But then, it wasn't like on the artificially, like on the outside, it might seem as if like it was a decision that Arjuna made in haste, right? But then Arjuna was completely fixed in this state. Krishna was acting from within, right? It's very clear that without that, Pandavas would never have been able to actually win the war against these great stalwarts that were on Kaurava's side, right? So Krishna, we see a devotee who actually surrendered to Krishna, who's gotten his mercy. Krishna gives him Vaisharadi Mati. He always directs. Where we see Srila Prabhupada, there was even recently the Prabhupada was saying, there was one video that Prabhupada was going to Boston port to check when is the next ship so that he could go back because nothing is happening even after coming to US for so many times, right? But then Prabhupada never went back. So Prabhupada was laughing at it. He says, I used to go back to check when it is, but then I knew something was going to happen. So Prabhupada never went back, right? Why? Because Prabhupada from within was directed by Krishna. Even though these are challenges, we may never get preview to what Prabhupada was internally experiencing. There were some times when Prabhupada said himself, Krishna talks to me when I want. Prabhupada said this, have you talked to Krishna? Have you seen to Krishna? Many times he was asked. Prabhupada said, Krishna talks to me when, there are times when Krishna has spoken to me, right? We are not at that level. We cannot understand that. But then through Bhagavatam, through such texts, we can see how Krishna is acting to devotees differently, right? There are Madhyamadhikaris, Kanishtadhikaris, and Uttamadhikaris. Uttamadhikaris are the ones who have removed that outer covering from themselves, right? Why? Krishna has Vaishnava Bhakti Sampannaha. Krishna has given them that mati through which they are acting continuously to spread Krishna consciousness. So I'd like to close here at 32. So let us share some reflections, and if anyone has questions, we can take.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One thing I learned, like the main thing was that we are not the body, but we are the soul. Like in the and then also in the beginning, you were saying that we should always like relate things to Krishna, so we remember him, and then we can advance one step further than we are. Like.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My main takeaway for today is that it takes a lot of introspection to realize that on top of the gross body that we have, there's also the subtle body, and even beyond that, beyond the subtle body, there's the spirit soul which is shrouded by Maya, and that we have to really take a closer look at ourselves in order to look beyond just what we see, just the gross body, and see what's beyond that as well.
Thank you, brother. So Krishna is very merciful, and Krishna says Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu, and actually I was trying to connect with Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So Krishna is the one that gives us intelligence to uncover that shrouding, right, where Maya is covering us from understanding we are spiritual, and it's making us think we are this body, right? But Krishna gives Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, right? Now when he gives the Buddhi Yogam, right, Krishna says Panditaha Samadarshinaha, like there is this other verse, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hasini Shuni Chaiva Shupakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha, right? It says in all these, one who is a learned Brahmana, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi, a cow, Hasini, elephant, Shuni Chaiva, Shunicha is a dog. Shwapakecha, one who is a dog eater. Like 5 different examples it talks about, right? Pandita Samadarshinaha. It says a Pandita, a learned person, is Samadarshinaha. Means, Sama means equal. Like it doesn't mean he's seeing all of them as equal. Like a dog eater, a dog, elephant, cow, or a Brahmana, learned Brahmana. They're not equal in any way, right? If they were equal, say we do Gomata Puja, right? We don't do dog puja. And then the scriptures actually are very clear. They say if you do, like it's to the extent where there is some amount of sin when you interact with dog. Scriptures talk about it. So it is not sama. It is not equal. Then what is that Pandita is seeing? Sama. He says sama darshina. He's seeing sama. So then Acharyas explain Krishna's the Supreme Lord's one other name is Sama. He's called Asama Urdhva, right? So he's saying Pandita Sama Darshinaha means Pandita is Darshinaha Sama, means Supreme Lord one other name is Sama. So that Sama is being seen by Pandita in all these. That means because if we are able to see, like this is the person who has reached this stage where he has understood he is not is spirit soul, then he is Bhagavad Darshana, like he has seen Brahma Darshanam, he has seen the Supreme Lord, right? When he is able to see the Supreme Lord within his heart, and this is we are talking about the everyone within the heart has a Paramatma expansion, Kshirodakashayi Vishnu expansion, right? So that Lord we see first. We are also situated in our heart, right? We see ourselves first as Jivatma, then we see that Paramatma expansion within our heart, right? So that Paramatma expansion is the same expansion in everyone's heart, right? Whether it's a dog, whether it's an elephant. So a Pandita who has reached this stage, he's actually seeing in all these 5 examples that Lord within the heart. So not only one can see his own, the advancement of a person, it's not only there in one, like he cannot only see his own Paramatma expansion, he can see the same Paramatma expansion in everyone, right? And Krishna lets that happen because Krishna says, Samaham sarva bhuteshu namodveshosya na priya e bhajanti tu mam bhaktya. He says, I'm equal to everyone. It's not like I'm biased. I'll make this, shrouding, like I'll remove the covering only to somebody. Krishna says, I'm equal to everyone. I'm available equally to everyone. But the difference is what? Tu. E bhajanti maam bhaktya. Only those that worship me. Right? Then Mayi Teteshu Shapyaham. He says, I am always visible to them and they are visible to me. Right? I am always in them, they are always in me. This is the example we are talking about, Partha, right? Now, all the Pandavas, they were surrendered to Krishna, they were devotees of Krishna. Krishna protected them, right? In every instance. At the same time, there were others that had association of Krishna, whether it's Kamsa, whether it is Duryodhana, whether it's Jarasandha. Right? None of them Krishna protected. None of them Krishna revealed from within the heart. Right? He didn't take up their covering. Duryodhana, to the extent, even after seeing the Virat Rupa of Krishna, he said, oh, I've seen my magicians can create better Virat Rupas. Right? They said. So why? Because he was still covered. Maya was not removed. Krishna didn't remove the Maya. Even though it's equally available, it depends on our endeavor. So that is the part. We have to endeavor through our bhakti to surrender first. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, it's a nice session. We have to make ourselves effort to get, understand from gross body to eternal body to our soul. That's only we can do through bhakti and, love with God, and then He gives us, mati. That's how we can see it. And we can do bhakti through the material body of Lord Vishnu, and then we understand the soul of the Supreme Lord, and that's how we can do it. So what is eternal body? I think my understanding, it's like our karma and everything is go with soul. Whatever we do, God's leelas, everything go with God's soul. It's how we can, improve our karma and all this intelligence. It's all part of our, go with soul. By bhakti and getting, as much as in love with God, that will reduce all this negativity, and so we can see Paramatma through our soul. And He gave that vision that mentioned in Gita to Arjuna. That's how he able to see his real Swarupa. And I think he also gave to Yasodhama, too, but he didn't give to Duryodhana. So that's the
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice class. I just think we know we are like jiva, subtle body, subtle, but we don't feel like we are spiritual because of Maya. We are covered by Maya. But if we remove Maya gradually by intelligence, then we can feel that. Right?
Thank you, Mataji. And that intelligence is the mercy from the Supreme
Oh,
God.
yeah, intelligence is mercy, Lord Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So my understanding from today's lesson is like we are not a subtle body, I mean gross body or subtle body, but we are spirit soul. And if you want to see Bhagwan's Sachidanand Swarup, so you have to imagination like Virat Swarup to Sachidanand Swarup. Like previous stage air from dust. If you see air, I mean dust through air, and like sky by cloud. So whatever you see, and that's why you can connect to whatever you can see. That is my understanding.
Hare Krishna Bhaktan. It was very nice discussion about the soul. We discussed about the gross body and the subtle body, and what the subtle body. The subtle body is with the soul. What does it consist of? Like mind, intelligence, and false ego. And we were discussing about like how we can come to know our own constitutional position. So for that we discussed like what is Swasamvita. That is when we put our own endeavor, we have to be our own pilot. Then we will realize, slowly we'll get the realization between the two subtle and gross body. And then Tad Brahma Darshanam. One who can see the difference between the gross and subtle body is the Tad Brahma Darshanam. And that process happens gradually, like to the process of going to the Lord gradually happens. And how does that happen? Krishna helps us in removing that. Devi Maya means slowly subsides. And how is that through surrendering process? Like when we are chanting sincerely, then gradually this happens. And yes. And one who comes to this position is called Jiva Bhutaha. So, yes, like we had given the example of Pandavas, how they never turned away from Krishna. They always have Krishna in their mind. So, Krishna also directs them from within their heart. Yes. That's what Srila Prabhupada says, that Krishna is always with me. The one who was, yes, and we discussed about the 3 different adhikaris. So, thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for very nectarian class. My takeaway is like to get the grace of Krishna, we have to endure our best. Krishna sees that, and my heart, that is. So that is my takeaway.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Very nice class, Prabhuji. My takeaway is like how the whole process of self-realization, how it depends on like our endeavor and how the Lord can change from anything to anything, like how He can make the external energy come in and then internal energy come in. Like it all depends on how much we put our effort and how we can reach. I think today I also learned that the subtle body, I always thought there's body and soul. I never realized there's a subtle body. Whenever people said subtle body, I always thought it was the soul. So something that I learned today is that subtle body is also totally different, and there's soul, so spiritual soul is totally different. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada talks about this, that this is one of the glories of the Supreme Lord that we have to pay attention to in Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna can do anything. It says, kartum akartum anyata kartum api shaktaha. That means, like the example Srila Prabhupada gave, electrician can turn the electricity into heat or cold. So it's Krishna's energy, external energy is one that's covering us. So how Krishna can change it to internal energy? He can do anything, right? That is how Krishna is able to uncover and cover. External energy is removing, and then he's able to put us under internal energy. That is when we can see Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Very well explained on gross body and subtle body. Then transformation of the soul from one body to another body like millions of times. So that was very well explained. And also like another point, by constantly chanting and serving to Krishna, so Krishna will give you enough like good intelligence to overcome the obstacles and also to know like which is right and wrong. That's the good point. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Rich.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice class. So my takeaway is we understand the importance of knowledge, how when we get the transcendental knowledge with the help of Krishna's mercy only, how we can see different people at the same level that you rightly explained by the verse Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. Also in Bhagavad Gita 10.11, Krishna says, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata, that due to my special mercy, when he wants to give enlightenment to his devotees, as a Paramatma, he glow that lamp, lamp of knowledge, by which we'll get, we can easily distinguish between spirit and matter. And that's how Krishna helps his devotee and ensures again and again, different verses that this knowledge is very important. I was listening to one lecture, there are 4 people who comes to Krishna, we know, right, out of which Krishna says the one who is Jnani is very dear to me out of the 4, because that is the stage where you can uplift yourself to the devotional service. Correct. Thank you.
Okay, so Prabhu, it's very wonderful class. Thank you for this. Yeah, I just focusing you said Bushra Dimoti. This is very important. Is it Prabhuji like whoever like the person gets a devotional service nicely, and especially for like out of the 3 moods of nature like this, above the 3 moods of nature, the same thing, he can go to the means Brahma with the Prasannatma, like he just level cross these 3 moods of nature, then he get this all the enlightenment and for this Bushra Dimoti. Is it like same thing, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my most respectful humble obeisances. Very nice class, Prabhu. So my takeaway from this class is like you explained very well gross body and subtle body and how transmigrate one body to another, how it carries the intelligence which we had in this current body and then the next body. And second thing, like you explained about you can understand by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam and like or by chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yeah, so like I want to add, maybe I'm wrong, please correct me. So like Gora Kishore Daswaji Maharaj, so he was just chanting. He was not like reading any book, but he's having intelligence of Bhagavatam. Like he was able to tell, like even able to mention by chanting only verse number as well. So that is why I want to add here. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Krishna's special mercy. So there are general rules and there are exceptions. And Baba, he was an exception, right? It's not like anybody that has a formal education has to will have all the intelligence, and then people that don't have formal education don't have intelligence. Right? So it all depends on. We are only seeing the beginning and end from the bodily perspective. We don't know what they were like in the previous lives, and all that sanskara gets carried forward. And we don't even know how they have come to this body. There are many stories that I know where they are like, okay, just came to the body, not through the process of coming into the womb and then coming to the body. So a lot of it is only mercy of Krishna. So Edyad Vibhuti Matsattvam, right? Krishna says, like wherever you see this Vibhuti, like where somebody is exceptionally well, Krishna says, I'm present there, right? It's only because of my mercy that it's there.
So there are some online devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Unmute yourself.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Please accept my humble pranam. Glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Guru and Gauranga. Prabhu, you said this subtle body, it just travels all along. It is stable, right? That is the body that is remembering Krishna. So because of that influence, that's why we are remembering Krishna, coming back to Krishna, and Krishna is making sure that we are coming back to Krishna. We want to listen to the lectures or we want to chant. Because of that influence, even though we might have gone through millions of years, because of that connection, we have made some contact with Krishna in our previous life. We are coming back, and Krishna is making sure we are repeatedly, even though we make mistakes, we are going forward to keep on insisting that we want to do something better for ourselves. So, is it because of that subtle body influence we are coming back and getting to know more about Krishna, or because also for the sadhu sangha, association of pure devotees, or somebody we have met, and also by the grace of Krishna, we are coming back to Krishna consciousness? Please, can you clarify that for me? Thank you.
It's all the above, Mataji. Somebody can come to Krishna through their karma, right? So, Srimatam, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brishto Vijayata, Krishna says, right? So, if we haven't completed our journey that we've taken towards Krishna in our previous birth, then Krishna makes sure that we are put in a situation, in a body, in a place, in a family where we can continue that journey, right? Now, even otherwise, Krishna and the mercy of devotees, Brahmanda Brahmite Kon Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, right? So it is only through the mercy of Vaishnavas that we can also get in connection with Krishna and come in touch with the devotees. This process. So it's both ways, and every way possible, Krishna is trying to get us to get to Him. So we have to remember, and then we have actually ended up in some devotee association. That means somehow there was some connection we had with Krishna, and He's letting us continue.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Anyone
Very
else?
nice class.
Hare Krishna. Actually, we are covered by avidya, so our senses cannot perceive this Lord Krishna. So it is for us to concentrate on the Virat Rupa of the Lord and see His opulences, and thereby we can understand Krishna to some extent. And also on our part in the spiritual journey, we have to make endeavors. Then only Krishna will give us intelligence to uncover this avidya, and then we can get. We can understand Krishna to some extent. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Anyone else?
Thank you. So my reflection is that unless we endeavor, we cannot get Krishna's mercy. So I can relate that to our famous Damodara. So in Damodara pastimes, so this two-finger philosophy we have, right? So Krishna endeavor, our endeavor, and Krishna's mercy. Unless they both go together, we don't get success. So thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful class. Very good. So now we'll get into quick sloka recitation.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavatam ki jai, Sindhu ke Vishnupatanam Pavane ke Vaishnavi.
Arun.
You want to go first? Yes. Matra spelsastu kaunteya, siddhus nosaka dukkada, agama pahi notityas, tam sitiksastu bharata.
What's the next one? You want to say the next one?
Namam karmani limpanti name karma phalespraha iti mam yo vijanati karma ber na sabhadyate. No work affects me, nor do I aspire the fruits of action. Those who understand the truth about me also will not get entangled with the fruits of reaction of work.
Namam karmani lipyanti, name karma phalespraha,
iti mam yobijanati karma birna sabhadyate. So basically, if you're in the devotion, if you're in the Krishna consciousness, and you're sincerely in Krishna consciousness, and you serve Krishna, you can go back to Godhead, and nothing can nothing can distract you from getting out of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phalesvaha, iti mam yopajanati, karma varnasabhatyate. There is no rule that affects me, nor to expect for the fruits of action. Those who understand the truth about me does not also become entangled in the fruits of reactions of work.
Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phalespraha, iti mam yovabijanati, karma birna sabhadyate. Translation. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this about me also does not become entangled in the fruits of reactions of work.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare
Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phalespraha, na iti mam yobijanati, karma bhirna sabhadyate. No work affects me, and I am not. I do not need the fruit of actions. One who understands this knowledge about me does not get entangled in the fruit of results of work.
Hare Krishna. January 24th. 5 plus 5 equals to 10. 2 plus 2 equals to 4. So Krishna plus everything is Vrindavan. Do not forget Krishna, and you shall always be in Vrindavan. Letter to Ekandra, January 24th, 1970. January 25th. A snake can be charmed by herbs and mantra, but the man envious cannot be. Therefore, he is more dangerous than the snake. Puri, January 25th, 1977. January 26th. This life of material existence is just like hardwood, and if we can carve Krishna out of it, that is the success of our life. Letter to Krishna Devi, January 26, 1968. January 27th. Something has dropped in the water, in the river. You cannot see the things dropped within the water by agitating the water. Just stand still for some time. As soon as the water is settled up, you'll see the things as they are. So as soon as our enthusiasm is agitated, it is better to sit down in any temple suitable and chant Hare Krishna. There is no question of being disappointed. After all, we commit so many mistakes. That is human nature. To err is human. That is not fault. But try to rectify with cold head. Calcutta, January 27th, 1973. January 28th. As your devotional service becomes mature, you shall see Krishna more and more, and more and more. You shall realize the qualities of the holy land of Vraja. Letter to Ladini, January 28th, 1973. January 29th. These temples, they are just like oases in the desert for conditioned souls, to quench the thirst of their desire for real happiness. Letter to Shir Dakshaya, January 29th, 1973. January 30th. If you want perfection in your business, then you must try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, you are simply wasting your time. Bharat Chamber of Commerce, Calcutta, January 30th, 1973. January 31st. One man was to go to a fair, so he began to dress himself nicely. So dressing, in the meantime the fair is finished. This is science. All rascals simply promising with no solution of problems. You require water immediately. All right, after 300 millions of water. If we become Krishna conscious, chant Hare Krishna, there will be rainfall, and then even barren land will be fertile. They do not know this. Instead, they're importing water. Bhubaneswar, January 31st, 1977. 1st of February. We must all become ideal in our character, and then people will be very impressed with such purity. A devotee is faultless. He has no flaws. Letter to Bhattu Gopal, February 1st, 1973.
Divine Grace, J.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Wonderful quotes. So if you're not getting these quotes daily, please let me know. So, I'll make sure you get the quotes and read it. Also, if you are interested to join our chanting group, we have a chanting group every day. Starts at 4 a.m. So I can send you the link here in the Bhakti Uksha group. So please try to join if you're not joining with any other groups. It's from 4 a.m. and it goes up to 6:30 or 7 a.m. It will be very nice to chant with congregation. Other important, very important information is that we are blessed by His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu from Atlanta. Who knows Adi Gadadhar Prabhu? Very nice. Everyone knows, that's good. So he's a wonderful soul. He's from Atlanta. He's a congregation director there. And he's our Bhakti Vaibhav course teacher too. So I have enrolled in Bhakti Vaibhav course. So wonderful preacher. He has transformed a lot of souls in Atlanta and all over the world actually. He travels a lot. He's by profession, he's a doctor. So he is gracing our Vanit Prabhu Chika Mataji's house this February 22nd. Please mark your calendar. Okay, it's a very important event for all of us and for them also. They are online. So it is a DT welcoming ceremony. Okay, please mark your calendars. That will be in the morning. So I'll send out the timings. Probably around 8:30, 9 it will start. I'll let you know exact timings. It is on February 22nd, which is Saturday. So on that day, we won't be having our regular session here. Rather, we'll have session there. So on behalf of Vanit Prabhu and Chika Mataji, I'm inviting all the Bensalem, entire Bensalem group. Some of other Baltimore devotees are going to join Washington DC. So it's a very important event. It's an open invitation for our Bensalem group. Yes, yeah. Nikunja Gopika Mataji also has program, but that is 8-hour kirtan, so we can join later also. So it goes until evening 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 I guess, right? So this program gets over by 12, ends with prasadam, 12:30. So then we can join. But this is very important event. It's a DT welcome. So please join February 22nd. Thank you. Thank you, online devotees. Hari Bol. Mahaprasade Govinde. Nama Brahmane Vaishnave. Kalpapanya Vatam Rajan. Vishwasvanaiva Jayate. Sharira Vidyajal. Jadendriya Tahekal. Jiva Fele Vichesagare. Sara Madhya Jivati. Lubha Maya Sudurmati. Take Jeta Katina Samsare. Krishna Borodayamai, Kori Bahar Jivajai, Prasada Nadilobai, Yanamrita Pao, Radha Krishna Gunagao, Remra Kochaitanitai, Jainimai Jainitai, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Priyadvaita Gadadhara, Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Radha Krishna Mahaprasadam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you. Hare Hare Bol.